Halifax have, recruited quite well. I've got to be mainly concerned about the way we perform, but we're quietly confident that we can get the game.
Martin, I guess apart from the biased supporters, a lot of people think this game is a bit too close to call. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Both teams have had a decent pre-season, and I think they'll both be looking forward to it.
Quarter-finals the year before last, semi-finals last year. Do you just sense that it might be getting that bit closer?
We're still a long way. Obviously, we've got Halifax to deal with today, but we enjoy the Challenge Cup runs, and hopefully it can continue after today.
The impetus will be surely with Castleford Tigers, because of course they've got a reasonable cup record over the past couple of years. They've almost been within touching distance, haven't they?
Yeah, that's in the past though. This season's a different season completely, so we'll see what happens today.
Martin Hall, the assistant coach of Halifax, who has experience of both these camps. He did play 4 games for Castleford in a brief spell here a couple of years ago. Let's run down the 2 teams. Castleford's coach Stuart Raper amended his team last night after checking on the state of mind of fullback Jamie Benn, whose mother is seriously ill. Ben was going to be on the bench, but he's convinced the coach that if it's right for him to start, he should do so, and he does feel right to start. Fullback is an area where Castleford have been stretched, with Jason Flowers and Richard Gay both out injured. Danny Orr, one of the brightest young stars in the game, partners Brad Davis at halfback, and Dean Sampson leads a very powerful pack. Halifax have kept this lineup a very closely guarded secret. Gary Mercer has been keen to conceal some interesting positional changes. Greg Florimo, the veteran Australian, is named in the centre, with Martin Pearson taking Florimo's regular place at standoff. Mercer himself, as player coach, plays in the second row with former Wigan man Stephen Holgate, and they are the only 2 Halifax players to have ever reached a Challenge Cup final. And there are the Halifax Blue Sox in the tunnel, ready to enter the jungle. Led by their captain, Greg Florimo. They take the field to a muted reception, which will be outstripped in a second when the home side enter the arena. Martin Moana, the loose forward, the last of the Blue Sox to appear. Greg Florimo, for 13 years, one of the top players in Australian first-grade rugby league with North Sydney. Went to Wigan last year, had a rather unhappy time, was held back by injuries, but now is ready and raring to go. And Castleford supporters preparing to greet their heroes. The Australian influence in the way the game is presented at this venue is plain for all to see. It is very much a family occasion. Halifax's players just gathered together by their captain, Greg Florimo. The last word or 2 of advice. They're a relatively new squad together. They lost 8 players in the close season. The club has been riddled by some financial problems this past year. But in inverse proportion, as Halifax have fallen, Castleford have risen. And here they come, led by their captain, Adrian Vowles. This the side that's beat Halifax on 3 occasions last year. And there is the man of steel, the player of the year in Super League last year, the Australian Vowles. There are 6 Australians and 1 New Zealander in the Castleford lineup. And spare a thought as well today for their young fullback, Jamie Benn, who is playing with personal problems very much on his mind.
On you. Straight
the
away,
referee in the centre there is Steve Ganson from St Helens, and on the left, touch judge Paul Hewitt, and on the right, Phil Brooks.
Call when it's in the air, Greg, heads or tails.
And the Castleford mascot, 13-year-old Carl Tate.
Stays you are, Castleford to kick. Good game, all the best.
Castleford to kick off.
Ready, lads?
Confirmed by Steve Ganson.
All right, thanks, mate. Do you want me straight away?
There is young Jamie Benn. His mother, Heather, is a very keen Castleford fan and is watching this game via television.
Okay, onside.
And he is going to be the player who will get us underway.
Okay, mate. Ready, let's go, Jamie.
Joe Lydon is alongside me in the commentary box. We watched Halifax at the same stage last year when they were well fancied at Warrington. Joe tipped them to win and they lost 34-4. So what do you reckon today?
Well, this time I'm going for Castleford. I think home field advantage and a few changes in the Halifax squad over the close season may make the difference. But I think one bet you can say safely is that both of these teams will have watched yesterday's encounter between St Helens and Leeds, and enough motivation in that game. A great game to watch and one that will have G'd both these sides up.
Well, here's Martin Pearson with the first kick downfield. It's Darren Rogers will field. And Halifax quickly up to make the tackle. Both sides have been out there. There is a gusting wind and they've been practicing their 40-20 kicking.
Well, it's a short field as well, this one at here at the Jungle, and I think both teams will have been looking to try and use the elements and also the short field to turn the opposition around and try and put the kicks in and get the advantage from the putting at the scrums.
Dean Sampson bursting through, talismanic figure for Castleford. Now it's Nathan Sykes, the other prop forward. Thought of offloading and then noticed that the second row forward Stephen Holgate was in the way. Castleford playing from the left and through the hands of Davis de Bowles. It's the last tackle and there goes the kick and back goes the fullback Cardis and deals with it pretty well.
That was well played from Castleford. They said before the game the coaching staff had identified the possibility of attacking Halifax on the outside. That's exactly what they did, but also when the kick came in, a great chase. A little bit upsetting for the coach and the Castleford players that then give a penalty away for being offside. Maybe a little bit too eager early on. You see 2-3 players in front of Steve Ganson, the referee there, and Halifax breathe a sigh of relief by getting the kick finder to touch from the penalty.
Castleford got past Oldham St Anne's, the amateurs, 64 points to 8 in the last round. Halifax had a slightly stiffer task, beating Hull Kingston Rovers of the Northern Fork Premiership 36 points to 8. And both these teams well aware that Super League is only a week away. Gary Mercer taking a firm tackle.
It's not often you get the coach taking the first big shot.
Moana, now Holgate. Castleford's tackling, holding very firm. Now Duneman, the newly recruited Australian scrum half. He just played 3 games at the back end of last season. Pearson with the reverse angle kick, which comes off the shins of Orr, and then gathers the ball up.
Danny Orr had to be very, very sharp there. Just the reaction, really, the crossfield kick in the opposite direction of which the attackers were going, and then the ball bounced off his shins. Did well to collect it again.
Moana in at the tackle this time. And it's a very feisty start to this 5th round tie in the Silk Cut Challenge Cup. Lee Harland this time for Castleford. Raper at dummy half. And then Nathan Sykes taking it a little further forward. Let's get the touchline view from Richard Duckenfield.
Yes, John, down at pitch level, the wind was very strong earlier on, has lessened just a little bit. It slightly favours the Blue Sox. There's a steady drizzle, conditions are not ideal, and handling could get a bit tricky as this game wears on.
And Steve Ganson has a close-up view of the first conflagration of the afternoon.
Right.
It had been a high-octane start. Let's hear what Steve Ganson's got to say.
Gary, take him that way. That way. Okay, I've got it. I've got it. Right, hang on.
Actually good work by the referee, just calming things down now. Straight away, getting the sides
Dean,
back.
come here, please.
And making sure that nobody interferes with his thought process.
Right, okay. James Gannon, come here, please. Right, now let's sort one thing out. You come in and through the punch, so the penalty is going to Halifax. Now then, I'm not having you, Greg, running in and starting problems. So both of you are going to sin bin. You for running in, you had no need to. I blew the whistle for a penalty. You took it in your own hands. You go first.
You heard it first by Steve Ganson laying the law down.
To do that. Okay, you're on the way.
Both of them in the sin bin.
Penalty to you. Don't come running in. I'll sort the problem. You just get on with it.
problem with these referees is that they make commentators redundant, Joe, really.
Going for 2.
It's nice to know, though, exactly what his thoughts are. He wanted to make sure that there was none of this in the future. There was a punch. I think Dean Sampson took exception to what he said, if I got it right. He thought he got an elbow to the face. But the referee, Steve Jansen, just making sure there was no more in the future, dispatching both the Sidmen for 10 minutes to cool off. And the result is a penalty to Halifax just inside the Castleford half.
And this is going to be a kick with the wind, Joe, for Martin Pearson.
Yeah, well in his range. It is the first kick of the game for him, though, from the floor, so we will see if he gets the 2 points.
Plenty of jeers and whistles, trying to put him off. Certainly got the distance, but not the direction.
Now, nothing to lose, really, from that kind of field position. There was 2 points on offer, especially with this pitch and the quality of kicker that he is, but just off target a little bit, drifting out to the right-hand side of the upright.
Okay,
so it remains scoreless.
One thing important, though, that Pearson did manage to get the ball dead in goal, so it'll be a dropout by Castleford, and Halifax will get possession back. They have a chance to attack yet again.
Dean Sampson beginning his 10-minute spell in the sin bin. And just to confirm that Jim Gannon, the Halifax prop, is the other player dispatched for a similar length of time. Ball went backwards off the boot of Rowley. He then is tackled by a combination of Harland and Raper. Florimo.
Although Greg Florimo is playing in the centre today, the captain, he's quite used to the close exchanges at the middle of the field, very powerfully built. Outside back.
Duneman. Now Pearson straightening up and nearly finding a gap, but not quite. Now Rowley.
This is the area of the field I think Halifax Blue Sox will attack. They're in the middle of the field, trying to pick out the fringe players. Danny Orr in particular, the small half-back for Castleford. Great pass.
It was Duneman to Florimo, and this is Jamie Bloom, who's in for the try.
Well, I just hinted they make him around the middle of the field. They get the chance to go out wide. Great hands. I think the Castleford players and fans stunned. Maybe a few of them thought there might have been a forward pass in there. But they sprayed it wide and found the gap. They found Castleford wanting on the outside, and Jamie Bloom switched the wing for this afternoon's game, scoring the first try.
Jamie Bloom, one of 2 former Castleford players in this Halifax side. Looking at it from that angle, it didn't seem to be a forward pass.
It didn't. Florimo collected above his head. There's nothing wrong with the pass from Florimo to Jamie Bloom, and then the step inside. A little stutter, gets across the line, and Gary Mercer, as coach and player, direct him to get as close to the post as possible.
Bloom, the South African, who scored a try on his debut for Castleford against Carlisle in the Regal Trophy more than 7 years ago, and then went on his travels via Oldham and Doncaster and Widnes, and with a couple of bans for various indiscretions thrown in, he's had a fairly colourful career.
They'll be happy with that start in the right place for him, or involved in the middle of the field early on in the build-up, and then being there to provide the last pass before Bloom goes over for the try. Pearson should be able to slot this one over. It's a difficult kick from the right-hand side.
Pearson, a former Featherstone Rovers player, won't make him too popular around here. In his second spell with Halifax, having disappeared for a season with Sheffield Eagles last year. And there is a sufficient breeze to have blown the ball off the kicking tee. Hence the readjustment.
Let's see if he's learned anything from his previous attempt. The answer's no. Overcompensated possibly, put it to the right last time, this time across the face of the goal to the left. Well, this is the 4 points that matter. Duneman puts a long pass out. That's the one I suspected may have been a little bit forward, but the replay proved that it wasn't. Florimo hands on to Bloom, and then the step inside, beating the cover and touching down. Daniels preventing him going any further close to the post, which would have made Pearson's attempt at goal a little bit easier. But 4 points to the better, Halifax Blue Sox.
Does at least ensure that we won't have a repeat of one of the previous meetings in the Challenge Cup between these two sides, which was a 0-0 draw. in 1903. In fact, 7 previous games between Castleford and Halifax in the Challenge Cup competition have produced an aggregate of only 77 points. As we remarked earlier, times have changed. This is Goldspink. Let go of the ball, and it was picked up by Brad Davis. But referee Ganson will give the scrum with Castleford's head and ball.
And again, you heard the referee say no advantage there, so it is to Castleford. Danny Orr did collect it eventually.
Okay,
A little bit surprised actually to see Goldspink offloading that situation. They just scored the try. They may have been better advised just to play out the set of 6 and put in the corner. There's the pack weight.
There's Danny Orr bringing Jamie Benn into the line. Benn, who had a prolific season with York in the Northern Ford Premiership last season, and then returned to his first club, Castleford, and Halifax have been caught offside. And Brad Davis, quick to grab hold of the ball and to dispatch it into touch. Chance for Castleford to hit back pretty quickly after the concession of that try to Jamie Bloom.
Well, it was up really quickly there to close down the options as it's tackled Sykes.
This is Lee Harland, former Halifax player. Raper at dummy half. Danny Orr shows it to Sykes, gives it to Vowles. Vowles still going. Brought down 5 metres short of that Halifax line. Orr out towards Rogers, the winger, who's trying to cut in field. Halifax smothering him. And smothering him to too great an effect, so the penalty's been given. Holding down at the play the ball.
It always makes me laugh that when you see a player kick to touch backwards, because you can actually walk back off the mark.
Sykes. It's been a stern display by Halifax so far, but this is Dale Fritz testing them out. Raper. Fouls. Caught by Pearson. This is where Halifax need to keep their discipline and not concede another penalty, certainly. Move it towards this near side, through the hands of Davis to Danny Orr. Danny Orr trying to sell the dummy. Moana caught him round the shoulder. Got hold of his shirt. Ben to Brad Davis, got 2 outside him, one of whom was eager. Ball goes to ground. Halifax breathe again.
And Halifax, the Blue Sox, congratulate themselves as well for a good defensive effort. There's a pass from Davis. They'd marked up well on the outside. Maybe they played before there was space on the outside for both Campbell and Wells. But on that occasion, Halifax able to stop them. It'll be Halifax feed at the scrum. And again, I should think they will bring this ball away safely before putting in the kick downfield. Maybe try for that 40-20.
Well, it is. It's Pearson from inside his own 10-metre area. And that's careering towards the touchline. One more bounce would take it over, and it's just been fielded by Darren Rogers. What a prodigious kick, using the full advantage of the wind, and Danny Orr has been caught.
He's only a metre short from his own line. That was a great kick. Using the advantage early on, catching Castleford Tigers by surprise, but a good run out of defence.
Here's Raper. This time it's Pearson, who's getting through his tackling stint. Now Vowles handing off Pearson. Lee Harland.
Well, fast and furious. Just imagine the Castleford Tigers packing out for the scrum, lifting their heads up and finding they have to trundle all the way back to their own line.
Raper this time with the kick, straight into touch.
Aaron Raper, possibly off balance, but still a poor kick. And it'll be a turnover to Halifax.
And Jim Gannon, one of those sin binders, appeared on the touchline on the far side, so has Dean Sampson, and shortly those 2 players who were sent to the sin bin will be coming back on. At the moment it's still 12 aside. This is Gary Mercer, the player coach. Pearson doing very well to get as far as he has. Just that one try by Jamie Bloom separating these sides.
More direct from Goldspink. Darrell Cardis, the ex-Wigan fullback, just directing traffic.
Duneman to Martin Pearson, to Florimo, to Bloom, who came on the burst but was not allowed to go any further. Boots flailing. One of them seemed to catch Darren Rogers. No matter, it's play on with Duneman. And now Moana. Hooked inside to Gibson. And Gibson now has it. Marvin Golden, the former Leeds player. Rolling. Duneman will hoist it towards the far corner. It's been taken by the wind. Bloom is up there. Bloom catches it. And Bloom plunges down for his second try. I think the referee may go to the screen to put a question mark for offside against it.
He'll have to check against Jamie Bloom. But Darren Rogers, the Castleford wingman, was just planted.
I think the ground is all right. Just have a look at the onside, offside.
You heard it, yeah. He just wants to check whether the Halifax players were onside. Jamie Bloom scoring his second, possibly. A great crossfield kick by Duneman. Perfectly weighted into that corner. Rogers couldn't get off the ground to collect it, and Bloom comes in to collect and score, possibly. Let's just check on the ruling.
He did juggle, but already the referee has said he's quite happy that he kept control of the ball and did ground it properly, as we'll see here. But it's whether or not Bloom was ahead of the kicker Duneman when the ball was kicked forward.
He's certainly ahead of Rogers. Came in on a great angle just to pluck it from his grasp.
Well, Jamie Bloom thinks that he scored. These replays are also being put out on the giant screen in the corner of this ground, so all the spectators can see it as well. Now, this may give us a better idea. Bloom is the furthest Halifax player away from the camera.
Seemed to be all right. Seemed to be behind the kicker, or certainly level. This is the collect. Collection just gets up, does juggle with it, but Darren Rogers doesn't get a hand to it at all. And you'll see the downward pressure. Well, Steve Ganson, the referee, in the way, but he was happy himself. He said so.
Well, that would suggest that this should be given as a try. Jamie Bloom is convinced that it is a try.
I think the answer
What
will
about
be
the
yes.
referee?
The second for Jamie Bloom.
Well, it was an interesting selection to put him on the wing today, because he's played in the centre, he played in the second row in the last round.
You'd say inspired after the opening 15 minutes, wouldn't you? 2 tries. Gary Mercer, the coach, and on the field, I'm sure, well pleased.
And Duneman's kick was a good one.
It was well weighted as well. Obviously a planned move, something they tried in training. And it was the angle too that Jamie Bloom came in to collect. He just timed it to perfection.
So with the angle, it's a kick of 30 metres facing Martin Pearson, from a very similar position to the one from which he dragged it wide to the left. He's done the same again.
Well, 6 points gone begging from the boot for Halifax, and that could be costly in the end. But this is the 4 points, the second 4 points by Jamie Bloom in the afternoon. Does juggle with it, but there is no problem with the grounding. And once the referee had checked to make sure he was onside, the 4 points stand, and it's now Halifax 8, Castleford Tigers 0.
You surprised?
Well, I expected it to be a lot closer, a lot tighter early on. I thought Halifax would come down the middle. They've obviously planned the moves also to try and attack out wide, as Castleford have, and the crossfield kick there was to perfection.
Gary Mercer, the player coach, taking the ball forward. And Gannon. Possession very much in Halifax's favour in this opening quarter of the game.
It's not to say that the Castleford Tigers won't come back at them, though. Again, we saw yesterday Leeds snatching the game.
Pearson. Dropped by Ben, but it went backwards.
Talks to Graham Steadman, the assistant coach from the Castleford Tigers, before the game. He was happy with Jamie Benn's performance. He didn't want to give him the kiss of death, but he said they have been happy the way he was playing and were comfortable with him at fullback.
Graham Steadman, of course, you were talking to, a former Castleford fullback. It was the position he occupied for them in the 1992 Challenge Cup final against Wigan, inevitably. Davis. Orr. Cross goes Cardis. He had Matt Golden to his left and opts to accept the tackle himself on the 20-metre line.
Not the biggest fullback in the business to Cardis tonight. You would expect later on in the game Castleford should also try the same tactics to put the high kick up and test him. He's very elusive when he has the ball in broken play, but he is small in stature and possibly susceptible to the high kick.
There's Gannon. Rowley, Goldspink. Duneman just got the ball away before Davis arrived, but it's easy enough for Darren Rogers. And here's Jamie Benn, the fullback, once again. Halifax playing with the wind at their backs in this first half.
And the influence that Andrew Duneman's having on this game for the Blue Fox hasn't gone unnoticed on the Tigers bench. Duneman not really putting a foot wrong so far in the game, the man who played for Queensland Cowboys in Australia.
Golden. Wells with the tackle, round the ankles. Campbell went a little higher up. Here's Moana. Now Duneman, to whom Richard was referring, Holgate. And really waiting to set this next move in motion. Goldspin, former Wigan and St Helens prop forward.
Halifax just trying to bring in the defence of Castleford and then push it out wide to the right.
Well, here's Duneman, the fulcrum. He's lost the ball. And it's play on, with Castleford in possession again.
Well, that was probably Duneman's first mistake, because they did have a full back line out to the right-hand side. Florimore screaming for the ball. Jimmy Bloom looking for a hat-trick. But instead, Duneman decided to go on his own. And the penalty going against Halifax just for interference. I'm not sure there was too much in that from Halifax.
Andrew Duneman came to prominence when he played against Gary Mercer, the Halifax player coach in the World Club Championship a couple of years ago. Scored a couple of tries for North Queensland in a hefty win at Headingley against Leeds, for whom Mercer was then playing. Here's Dale Fritz. Raper. Nathan Sykes. Getting to the stage of his career where he's pretty experienced. Sykes, it's his 10th season. And eventually the referee has seen enough and has given the penalty to Castleford. It was Gannon who infringed for Halifax.
Captain, come here.
Well, you have to roll away and clear the ruck area.
Right. You've been in more trouble. You've been
Gannon
off to the sin
it.
bin. You're messing about up the top. You're doing it again. Next time we'll put you off again.
That was 50.
Right.
Surely.
Get him out that earlier.
Jim Gannon again, the offender. And you heard the nature of the lecture he got.
Well, it's a good defence if tackled by Mercer and Gannon.
Sampson to Davis. Now Danny Orr. Orr does find a gap this time. And he's got two outside him. One of them is Rogers. Rogers cutting through to the line, had the lapels of his shirt tugged. And that was enough to stop him. But it's another penalty.
Jimmy Bloom may go to the sin bin here. Professional foul. It is.
His afternoon's taken a slight turn for the worse. After 2 tries, he's off the field for 10 minutes. So Castleford with the numerical advantage, with Logan Campbell, their newly recruited New Zealander from Hull. Raper to Nathan Sykes. Halifax's tackling has been strong and disciplined so far. This is Sampson. Oh, and the mistake has been forced, and Rowley has it back.
That was a poor pass by Dean Sampson. He went to the defensive line and then just tried to put the pass out. It went to nobody.
Golden
again breathed a sigh of relief.
Rowley. And Gannon. Here's Stephen Holgate, who is currently on loan from Hull technically, but may well sign permanently for Halifax Blue Sox in the next week or so. Fairly rugged Cumbrian, involved in a pretty rugged game. Now the kick to touch is safely dispatched.
There's Aaron Raper looking a little bit groggy, took a knock to the shoulder. A tough professional, he'll not want to show much pain, and I'm sure we'll see him packed down in this scrum.
You know how to get off the tackle. I know you do.
A momentary lull in this game.
Okay, Aaron. Yeah.
Raper has recovered.
Hold the push.
Castleford's put in.
Hold.
And the ball with Brad Davis. And here's Michael Eager. And Eager has broken the tackle. And he's a player with a good record against Halifax in recent years. He got a hat-trick here in Super League in a narrow win for Castleford at the start of last season.
Jamie Bloom in the sin bin for the Blue Sox. Jamie, this is a cracking start. 2 tries from you.
Yeah, well, we knew we had to come out fighting with the wind and just try and nullify them a bit. And I think at the moment we're doing that quite well.
We've stung them into action.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But we're just going to have to hope that we can keep this up in the second half as well.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie Bloom in the sin bin at the moment. Halifax having to hold on. This is Vowles, and he's passed it straight to Jim Gannon.
Well, you guessed that the call came in from Gannon. Castleford using the short side to good effect and making good meters, but the last pass again denied and went straight to the big forward Andy. Sorry, to Gannon, I thought it was that it went to.
Halifax taking the decision to give Brett Goldspink a breather. Here's Andy Hobson, who's just come on. Holgate. Moana. Trying to take the more circuitous route, but still running into plenty of Castleford tacklers, notably Nathan Sykes. The ball has come loose. The referee gives the knock on.
Martin Moana was going for the penalty here. Not much in it either, could have gone either way.
Okay, Subby lads, get a breather.
Now it's Castleford's turn to rotate a couple of props. Off goes Nathan Sykes and on Darren Shaw, who has a Challenge Cup winners' medal by his participation in the 1998 final for Sheffield Eagles.
Daniel's made a couple of those little half breaks, just needs somebody on the outside of him.
Castleford threatening, that's gone forward as it was spilt by Haaland. Halifax will not be at all displeased with all this.
Not at all, 4 more quickly, just to shut the options down on the outside. You see him close the space down there, make the good tackle and force the error. With all those little half breaks, you do need some points quickly. Castleford are going to come back before half-time.
No penalties.
And then errors 4 apiece.
Onside, Danny!
But it's been played at a phenomenal rate, this game.
Makes for a decent spectacle.
It does well, the two teams. I mean, I expected Halifax to try and play down the middle, but and try and catch the lighter players of Davis and all on the fringes. And when they put the mind to do that, they're certainly capable of it, but they've also got the ability to play it out wide as well as the tries we've seen.
Another penalty.
A little bit of indiscipline by Castleford.
Martin Pearson's going to have a hot shot at goal. Unsuccessful with 3 attempts so far. It's worth reiterating that he does have a reasonable breeze at his back, so distance won't be a problem. But it's been direction that he's had to work on. Plenty of Challenge Cup experience for Martin Pearson, a semi-finalist with Featherstone in 1995 when they lost to Leeds, and a Welsh international who we'll be seeing in the Lincoln Financial Group World Cup later in the year. Again, distance no problem, and this time the radar was set correctly, and it takes Halifax into double figures.
44 metres and straight between this time. Student of the kicking game, and he judged this one to perfection.
So Castleford are going to have to come back very strongly in this game. 14-1 shots they are for the Challenge Cup this season. Halifax 40-1 outsiders. It's not reflected in the scoreline at this stage. But there was great determination when we visited the Halifax camp this week. They've been training very hard. They went off to Jacksonville in Florida last month for a pre-season training camp, which, with so many players, was more an exercise in bonding than having training sessions in the sun. And Gary Mercer, I know, was delighted with the way that his new charges in particular responded. Back it goes to Pearson for the kick downfield. John Wells. Held right on the 20-metre line. Jamie Benn. Jamie Bloom is still off the field for Halifax in the sin bin. He's got about another 3 minutes to serve. Adrian Bowles. Such an enormous presence in Castleford's campaign last season that took them to within one win of the grand final. Danny Orr. Now Logan Campbell almost broke the tackle of Rowley, but not quite. Castleford trying to move it quickly. Davis with the kick over the top, taken well by Cardis.
Well positioned, Daryl Cardis in the back. Davis put a little chip over, trying to collect it himself, but Cardis was there to cover it.
Castleford player has gone down clutching his face.
Well, missed tackles are on the screen, 6 by Halifax, which is surprising, but they have had the lion's share of possession as well.
There is drizzle falling. It has been falling since kickoff, really. Looks for one or two other greasy moments with the ball. Oh, that was a nasty bounce for Jamie Benn. A more friendly one for Darren Rogers. Here's the reception committee, led by Florimo.
Solid defender, Greg Florimo. So much experience as well. Makes it so much easier for the players around him. At the moment, he's without his wingman, Jamie Bloom, who's warming up again, ready to return after his sin bin. It's important, too, that being a man down, they haven't conceded any points in that 9, nearly 10 minutes.
Now here's Logan Campbell. He's got Wells outside him, but there was no way of getting the ball away. Gibson and Golden in with the tackle for Halifax, who lead through 2 tries from Jamie Bloom, who will shortly be coming back on from the sin bin, and a penalty by Martin Pearson. This is Danny Orr on the last tackle. Taken on the bounce by Cardis. Now this is where he really does come into his own. Such an elusive runner when he gets going. Duneman.
And the Blue Sox player coach Gary Mercer will be well satisfied with this period of play, and certainly with the game so far as a whole. During the time that they've been a man down, they've actually increased the lead and so far conceded nothing at all to Castleford Tigers.
Yes, Halifax have every reason to be delighted with events so far. Jamie Bloom comes back onto the field. So we're back to 13 aside. Duneman. Pearson. The attempt was to skip round Davis, but the kick has gone straight to Dean Sampson.
Back to the line and hold. Rolling.
Ben. Campbell.
Third, come on. Behind me.
Davis. Or Harland. Aaron Raper and Dale Fritz for the Tigers have got through a fair bit of work. Here's Sampson. Harland. Now Orr. Haven't really seen the innovation that Castleford on the field are so capable of, but this is Dale Fritz. Now it's Campbell, ball's gone loose, and it went forward, it was knocked on.
Again, Castleford made the half break. This time it's Fritz looking for support, turns back inside to find Campbell, but he's too close.
Thanks for that.
It wasn't so much a pass as just a shovel offload.
No, it's Halifax head and ball, you're playing last
collect
it. What are you trying to do to me, Brad? Hey? Gary!
Logan Campbell has got the bloodied nose. That was the reason for this scrum. Steve Ganson will be relishing having a closer game to control after, in the last round, taking charge of Wigan's 98 points to 4 victory over Whitehaven. Here's Golden. Gibson to Mercer. Such a strong runner. Approaching his 33rd birthday now, the Halifax player coach, Gary Mercer. 22 caps for New Zealand. And here's Gannon. Well, he and Val's having a bit of a set too. Andy Hobson. Hobson, Halifax born. Duneman. Pearson, back to Duneman. Now Cardis.
Just watching the Halifax Blue Sox players closer now. Jimmy Bloom, while he was having his rest period, mentioned that they had to keep up the intensity. A little kick, they had to keep up that intensity. They just seemed to have dropped just a pace, just a gear, just before this half-time period. And that could be dangerous because Castleford have the ability to come straight back at the team should they seize the chance of any weakness.
I mentioned that Halifax spent some time in Jacksonville in Florida at a training camp. Castleford went to Catterick Army Camp.
Well done.
Here's Ben. There's no Jason Flowers and no Richard Gay because of injury for the first 6 or 8 weeks of the season for Castleford. Richard Gay is due to go into hospital tomorrow for an operation on his right shoulder. And this is Adrian Vowles. Raper. And now Darren Shaw.
Gannon and Vowles seem to be picking each other out and carrying the ball.
Fritz. Then Harland. Davis. Referee's arm is upraised for the last tackle. Campbell with the kick. And still in play as Cardis is back behind his own line and Wells is up trying to keep him behind his own line. He can't quite manage it.
Adel Cardis come to forward to let the ball stay there in the end goal. It might look like he was going to go dead in goal behind the line, but couldn't take that chance.
Settle it down. No,
did well to bring it out.
Just hang on. Adrian.
So he went to with his forearm across the side of the face.
Right.
That's what
okay. All right. So penalty to Halifax. So shows his report. Forearm over the face.
Referee and touch judge is working well. Here's Del Cardis just getting back into the field of play. And then there is the forearm. And well spotted by the referee. Mr. Hewitt. Sorry, the touch judge, Mr. Hewitt, telling Steve Ganson exactly what had happened. And quick to take the action.
John Wells was the offender. Rolling. Hobson. Interesting to look at the penalty count. Here's Mercer. Pearson. So towering kick. Rogers never really got anywhere near it.
Now, he was concerned that it was going to be a 40-20. He covered that area but couldn't stop the ball from taking one bounce and going into touch, so it'll be Castleford's field of the scrum. But again, good tactics from Halifax. They got the penalty on their own line after the infringement on Del Cardis, and then just using the forwards to bring it away midfield, and then a long kick downfield. Penalties 5-all. An intense game in this first half.
Adrian, James Gannon, come here.
Again, James Gannon.
Hang on.
Jim, to his friends, is being picked out.
I'm not having you shouting abuse and goading him, right? Now, if you continue, no, hang on. Right. If you continue, I'll take stronger action against you. I don't want him goading players. Makes a difference. Okay, mate. All right. Okay. Greg, I do the talking.
Corimo put in his place as well. Mind you, the referee is a salesman, so he must be good at the chat. Won't tell anyone what he sells, though, which seems strange for a sales rep. You obviously know, Joe.
Not at all.
Here's Sampson. Very close to the half-time hooter. It's not allowed to go. This is Darren Shaw. Castleford would dearly like to pull something back before half-time. They are going to have the wind in their favour, but I think the wind, if anything, has dropped a bit during the course of this first half. Raper.
And what's getting under the skin of some of these Blue Sox players is that they think that Adrian Vowles on the Tigers side is beginning to run the game. They're complaining to the referee that he's doing too much talking. Greg Florimo, of course, made a comment about that just a few seconds ago and was told very forcefully to keep quiet.
Golden to Florimo. And presumably now he's mute. Bloom at dummy half. And hooter imminent. Half-time team talks are waiting. Gary Mercer, who will have some input, but basically it's Martin Hall, the assistant coach, who controls things whilst Mercer is on the field of play. Moana. Hobson. Tackle was applied by Fritz. And back it goes for the kick by Jamie Bloom. It's a prodigious attempt at a drop goal. And it's to the right of the post. It's a good idea with what would be just about the final kick of the half.
No harm at all. Trying to turn his contribution of 8 points into 9.
Andrew, onside, Andrew.
And again, Halifax will just defend now for these closing seconds of this first half.
We were nearly worried there, Joe, that your world record drop goal was under threat. Maybe not. 61 yards, was it?
Something like that. A stronger reason this afternoon, I can assure you.
Modesty doesn't become you. Raper. Fritz. Now Campbell.
Nice pass, nice support too. Probably Castleford's last chance.
Davis to Danny Orr. The angled kick through. Cardis is going across. Bloom is scampering back. Paul Cardis didn't gather first time. And the referee has spotted the knock-on.
Made that Castleford's penultimate chance of this first half. They'll have it. Oh, well, there it is. The whistle goes from referee Steve Ganson. And Daryl Cardis' mistake goes unpunished.
The hooter as well in Halifax's favour. Just when they needed it, it arrived. And Halifax troop off together with Castleford, having performed well in this first half. 2 tries to Jamie Bloom, a penalty to Martin Pearson. Gary Merson just going off on the left-hand side of the shot there. Dean Sampson of Castleford as well. And Jamie Bloom with the shaven head, the scorer of both the Halifax Blue Sox tries. And this game is well poised. Castleford, with home advantage, will also have the advantage of the breeze in the second half. But it's a surprising half-time scoreline at the jungle that used to be Weldon Road of Castleford Tigers 0, Halifax Blue Sox 10.
Who will be the last name in the hat in the Silk Cut quarter-final lineup. It's Halifax leading the home side, Castleford 10-0, and let's hope that he'll resist the Tarzan impressions as we rejoin John Champion in the jungle.
Welcome back. And the two sides now preparing to entertain us in the second half. Jamie Bloom, the scorer of the 2 tries, described in the club literature as strong, fast and mad. Certainly effective today. Let's go down to the touchline and hear from the Castleford assistant coach Graham Steadman, who's with Richard Duckenfield.
Graham, what can the Tigers do to turn this round now in the second half?
Firstly, we've just got to concentrate on all discipline in our play. And secondly, our completion rate. It's possibly the worst performance of 40 minutes we've had this season. We're looking just to eradicate those errors, play disciplined, patient football, and hopefully that's going to get us there after the 80-minute mark.
Thanks so much, Graham.
Graham Steadman, who was playing rugby union yesterday for Oldham, former Great Britain Rugby League international, and there is the Castleford coach, Stuart Raper, who's sitting right in the back row of the grandstand on the far side of the field and is in touch via walkie-talkie with Graham Steadman on the Castleford bench. mentioning that Graham Steadman was playing rugby union for Oldham yesterday with his good friend Mike Ford cheering him on from the sidelines. And he tells me that he contributed 8 goals and a try to a 58-0 victory in their club match yesterday. So he hasn't lost it.
Holding. No penalties, come on. Ready? First. Come on, mate.
Here's Rowley. Now Mercer. Halifax looking to build on what they've achieved already, which is a considerable amount. The element's not so much in their favour now. Here's Duneman. Now Moana. Pearson. Jim Gannon. Halifax had a torrid time of it last season when they were beset by problems with money and they lost a whole host of big names. Kelvin Skerrett, Graham Holroyd, the 2 halfbacks, Chester and Clinch, Paul Broadbent, Nick Pinkney as well. But they do seem to have recruited well to replace those on today's evidence. Still plenty of time for a Castleford comeback.
I was just saying, both teams having a little bit of difficulty with their kicks in the second half. Danny Orr getting his range wrong with his first kick, and also Rowley then just putting one over the sideline. And both teams seem to have condensed their defences, just trying to make sure there's no half breaks. Halifax will be real cautious and try their utmost to prevent Castleford from making a half break, which they could turn into 4 points to get back into this match.
Davis. Now Dale Fritz, one of those 6 Australians. 3 Halifax tacklers smothering him to too great a degree, and the penalty's been given.
The penalty was given instantly. 4 or 5 Castleford players just pointed to the post, saying let's have a shot at it, let's try and take the 2 points. Halifax, they're just slowing the Castleford player the ball down, trying to make sure their defensive side's set.
Well, Jamie Benn is going to have the shot at goal, and he is a kicker who Stuart Raper, his coach, says reminds him of Matt Rogers in his approach.
I think that would be true to say. A lot of the kickers now use the same kind of style. It's obviously on focus, and they do say that practice makes perfect, and I'm sure Jamie Benn has put an awful lot of practice in during this week here on this Castleford pitch. 34 metres out. It's a straight kick.
Well, it will be.
Once it gets it teed up, you'll notice the kicking tee there, a good few inches from the turf. And the theory is that you, by angling the ball such that you kick more ball, you kick through the ball, it's got a bigger sweet spot, and you can get more distance. Jimmy Benn proves the theory right. Not only got the distance, but also the accuracy. And Castleford's first 2 points of the afternoon.
I watched him practicing on Friday. He was kicking goals from Pontefract that day. It's the same lazy approach, but it's all in the timing and hitting the sweet spot, as you mentioned. At least Castleford are on the board now. And one wouldn't have imagined it would have taken 44 minutes of the game for that to happen.
Not at all, no, but that they have to be careful now that they don't rely on this breeze. It is a strong breeze at the Castleford backs, and they must be careful not to put too much faith in that and still do their utmost to try and break down what has been a solid Halifax Blue Sox defence for the first 40 minutes.
You staying with your tip of Castleford?
I think they'll come back into it this game. They'll have had the words of wisdom of Stuart Raper at half-time, and I do believe that Halifax just dropped down a gear in the first half, the end of that first half, and it's a little bit slower in thought and deed.
Castleford take the tap very quickly. Vowles.
Well, Vowles took that, and the Halifax team were never back the 10 metres they should have been.
Darren Shaw. This is a good positive start by Castleford in this second period. Davis, eager. Now Haaland. Strong running second row. Raper at dummy half, Samson to his right, but he's going left. And the kick through is looking for Rogers, but the ball will go dead.
Carlos and Rogers in a foot race, but the ball beats both of them. There's Raper, did a little dab through with the right foot. The foot race is on and Rogers is there, but the ball beats them over the dead ball line.
Darren Rogers, the former Dewsbury and Salford winger, a couple of tries against Salford in the quarter-final last season, and also a try in that memorable semi-final against London at Headingley. Offside given against Castleford. Lee Haaland, a player picked out.
And again, the defence never back the 10 metres from the quick tap.
Rowley, Pearson, now Martin Moana.
Powerful individual, Moana, if he gets the space. Likes to bump off the defenders and then offload as well. So he's one to be watched out wide.
Hobson. One to be watched down the middle. Duneman. And Gannon. Halifax driving towards that Castleford line with Gary Mercer.
Leading by example, saying exactly what he wants, and that's a direct approach to the post.
Duneman. Oh, ball's gone loose, but it went forward before Pearson plunged on it. Referee, though, wants to go to the giant screen.
Let's have a little look at that one and see if he's knocked on, or it could have possibly... Go away, you.
Look at it, or not?
Just want to be sure. I know, it's on the screen.
Well, here's Andrew Duneman, and the referee is just checking whether the ball was taken out from his grasp or whether he lost control. Because Pearson does touch down there, gets a hand on it. But I don't think he ever had control of that ball, although there's a Castleford hand in the area, and possibly a touch. I think they will rule that, that the ball was lost, but no try, I don't think.
Some of the Halifax supporters massed in front of the giant screen are trying to influence the video referee by cheering as if in acclamation of a try. But the bigger cheers are from the home fans.
Okay. Better be insured. Come on, 18. Here we go, mate.
Davis will take the ball from the base of the scrum. Now Michael Eager.
Del Cardis, the Halifax Blue Sox fullback, has dropped back. He obviously is thinking about the kick that Halifax themselves used in the first half from the scrum.
Dean Sampson, known universally as Diesel. It's in his 14th season now with Castleford. Now Danny Orr. Logan Campbell has Wells outside. There's Damien Gibson, who came across and effected the tackle.
And again, the Halifax players congratulate each other for good defensive effort. Getting across there on the slide, forcing the Castleford player out.
Andy Hobson is in the blood bin. Duneman. Doesn't look in a great condition, poor Andy Hobson, at the moment. In fact, he looks rather like a refugee from that film, A Fish Called Wanda.
Strange way of smoking, I think.
The referee content to allow play to continue. Pleas for a penalty. This is Florimo. Not allowed to get away by Danny Orr, the other number 6. Now Duneman. Showing the ball, trying to escape. Tackled eventually by Haaland. Now, will it be the kick this time? It is by Pearson. Oh, and it's well taken.
Well, the evasion was good, but the kick was poor at the end of it.
And it's John Wells coming infield. Darren Shaw. Draper. Danny Orr. Orr, who nearly loses his shirt. One of the bright young things of rugby league at the moment. He seems to have taken a knock. But play continues, and Halifax may get it back with Pearson, and then Florero falls on the ball, and it's play on. Halifax with a position they may be able to exploit with Jamie Blue. Mercer directing operations at dummy half. Goldspink. Goldspink offloading well to Jim Gannon. This is a promising position for Halifax, as Danny Orr is helped limping off on the far side. Pearson, and now Duneman. Duneman looking left. Chance here for Halifax with Cardis. And Cardis brought down in the tackle. Florimo.
Yeah, Danny Orr very in serious trouble for the Tigers. He waved to the bench straight away. It's his left ankle by the looks of it. He had to be helped from the pitch. They're having a closer look at him now on the bench.
Now Moana. Halifax showing a bit of self-belief, and Pearson really sliced the drop goal attempt, and it's caught easily by Eager. Something of an escape for Castleford, who have the ball back. Rogers. And now Davis. Was that a knock-on? Davis, an acting halfback, just seemed to fumble the ball. And the referee has given it.
With the help of his touch judge. Just looked across. There you see it. Just a little fumble in the acting halfback position by number 7, Davis. Enough to catch the touch judge's eye.
Come on, Dino, get him switched on. Come on, switched on.
Andy Hobson, number 8 there,
Andrew,
is back 13. On from the blood bin.
OK, heads in. Stay behind, Brad.
Duneman. Pearson. Florimo. Oh, almost got it away to Gibson, who was up by his shoulder. Pearson. Jamie Bloom working it left through the hands of Florimo to Duneman, and then again hurled long and well gathered by Cardis after Holgate had used his boot. Mercer, full of bludgeoning intent. Rowley. Duneman, the Australian scrum half. Now it's Andy Hobson. It's the last tackle. Will they go again for the drop goal attempt, or will it be Duneman with the kick through? It is. Jamie Benn, the fullback, is back, but is penned in.
Smart play from Halifax, and in particular Duneman, but he must thank also this chasing team with that little kick, making sure that Castleford were pinned down. Here is Duneman. Nice little dab through. And as Ben collects, the Halifax defence swarms to prevent him getting back in the field of play.
The Blue Sox now apparently opting for pace. Holgate, having done his tackling stint, is off. Phil Hassan, a very quick player, is on in his place, a man who scored 3 tries in the last tie.
There's a hat-trick against Hull Kingston Rovers in round 4 for Phil Hassan. And he replaces the second row forward, Stephen Holgate. And Danny Orr, well, that's an alarming sight for Castleford, with the start of the Super League campaign only a week away. Oh, and there was a little elbow there on the head of Duneman. And that caused an ooh and an ah around the ground when shown on replay. It was Andrew Purcell.
Well, frustration for Castleford and despair, I presume, for their coach Stuart Raper, because not only has he lost one of his star players in Danny Orr, but he's also giving penalties away. They're dropping a lot of the possession they have, they're turning the ball over, and they're making elementary mistakes. And all the time Halifax have got one eye on the clock and one on the scoreboard, and both are in their favour at the moment.
Come on, mate, quick as you can.
1 or 2 running repairs.
Right, OK.
For Martin Pearson.
Sort him out in a minute, come on.
There's also been a substitution made by Castleford. Ian Tonks has come on, and he replaces Lee Harland.
That's the injury to Danny Orr. His ankle, a twist. As soon as this happened, he put his hand up to the bench to say, get me off, things aren't right. And that's problems for Castleford.
Duneman. Hobson, barnstorming run. Eventually held up by Raper. Now it's Pearson. He's got plenty of support to his left, part of it coming from Moana. And Pearson attacking half-back. Lost control of the ball.
Ball loss.
Let off for Castleford. A big let off by Pearson.
Set him ball. Wait away. Hang away. Okay. Hold.
Martin Pearson might find handling a little bit more painful. He's damaged at least 2 fingers on his left hand. They've been taped up, so he'll be wary of those, but so far showing no ill effects of it.
Be more concerned with an injured toe as the goal kicker, a fairly metronomic kicker when he's at his best, Martin Pearson. Now Andrew Purcell, guilty of that forearm to the head of Duneman. And although it's Castleford who are called the Tigers, it's Halifax who are being tigerish. Brad Davis. It's gone a long way up. Cardis is beneath it. Oh! Taken out with a shot there that is going to lead to another bust-up between the two sides.
My fears go to Daryl Cardis. He did catch that one.
I've got it. Hang on.
Caught the ball and caught the defensive.
That side, Andrew, you'll go where the last one went. Now settle down. I've got it, Phil. Okay. Rolls.
Daryl Cardis is laid out.
I've got it, mate. Let's sort the player out. I'll sort it.
He held his hand up
All
straight
right,
away.
don't tell me that. I'll sort it. All right.
He held his hand up straight away, though.
Hey.
The referee just having to sort out a little bit of back chat before he delivers his verdict.
Leave it. Hang on. Brad, you're making it work. Just go that way, mate. I'll sort it out.
And there's plenty of medical attention out there for Daryl Cardis.
He inflamed it, pal. Yeah, look, don't do that because everyone thinks you're telling me what to do.
Cardis took the ball safely and then was absolutely flattened. And I suspect that this won't look too pretty in slow motion.
Well, he kept his eye, both eyes on the ball. Didn't see the incoming traffic.
Jamie Benn.
And Jamie Benn, well, he caught him with the upper part of the arm and the shoulder, but he caught him full in the face. And I think you'll find that he was out before he hit the floor, Daryl Cardis. There's no movement. There's a neck brace as well, which is obviously an extra concern.
Thanks, Dave. All right.
Well, the Halifax staff showing a good measure of concern. There's the culprit, Jamie Benn, the opposite fullback, who is looking at the giant screen at the moment to see if there are further indications of guilt on his part.
I've got it.
Halifax are going to make a substitution, which is inevitable, given the condition of Daryl Cardis. The Frenchman Gail Tallick is going to come on. The question is, what action is Steve Ganson going to take? And at the moment, he's keeping his own counsel and just really rather more concerned about the condition of Daryl Cardis, the former Wigan player. He's just come back from an operation on his left knee. And now he has another problem to overcome. Let's hear from Richard Duckenfield down on the touchline.
And while the treatment's going on the field, it's a gloomy outlook for Danny Orr of the Tigers. As you saw, he damaged his left ankle. It is ligament damage. It looks like serious ligament damage. He's been put into a kind of soft splint. These things could often be worse than a break.
Got everything I need. I don't need that. No, I'll do it. Go away, hang on.
Well, the referee must have got a clear view.
Stay that way, lads. Stay that way.
Daryl Cardis being taken off very carefully.
Adrian, Jamie Benn.
And Jamie Benn, the offender, and the two captains, Adrian Vowles and Greg Florimo, being picked out by the referee.
I'm not happy exactly how that ended up, but can't be certain of the nature and content of it, so we're going to place him on report. and the penalty's going to go to Halifax. OK, Jamie? All right.
Good refereeing, I think. And in a split second. And if the referee's in any doubt, but he has no choice really but to put it on report. Let's just hope that Daryl Cardis is fitting well very quickly.
And was there an element of doubt, having seen the replay, in your mind?
I think you have two players contesting for a ball like that. He did catch him with the upper part of the arm, and obviously his intent was to make, some impression. But I don't think there was anything malicious in it.
So that will be considered in the course of the week by the authorities with the help of video evidence. Daryl Cardis taken away on the stretcher. Gail Tallick sent on by Halifax, and Jamie Benn allowed to continue on the field of play. Here's Pearson. And Pearson getting away from Brad Davis, and then the pass was around the bootlaces of Damien Gibson. Here's Ian Tonks.
Well, Halifax are just proving that they're not averse to just having a little bit of a venture and trying to force the pass or even put the kick in. And it's causing Castleford some problems. The Tigers just seem flustered in defence and attack. I mean, no time really to put any moves together. Missed tackles, Halifax 8. As we said in the first half, they seem to have more possession and more time on the ball.
Davis. Adrian Vowles. Missed out Eager, found the wingman Rogers, and now it is Eager. And the ball came off Phil Hassan. Damien Gibson has switched to fullback in the absence of Cardis.
Well, the referee has given the feed to Halifax, and you're exactly right, John. That ball did come off Phil Hassan, and it should have been a Castleford feed. Unless there was no intention by Phil Hassan, but
things do seem to be going Halifax's way, one way and another. Although Daryl Cardis might not agree. Here's Moana. Held up by Vowles. Duneman. And now Gail Tallick, former Castleford player.
a little nod too from Pearson to Greg Florimore. Obviously happy to take it on the short side, but want to bring it back now to the right-hand side and try and exploit some space. Darren Rogers for Castleford, worry of the threat.
Mercer. Oh, it's on his own personal mission to get to a Challenge Cup final, albeit not at Wembley this year. He's been 3 times to Wembley, and he's been defeated 3 times. This time, it's Castleford who will get the penalty.
Come on.
Well, Jamie Bloom was guilty of pulling the Castleford defence, as Dean Sampson it was, that he tried to remove from the ruck area.
Tonks.
So important now that Castleford get some points on the board, or even get some confidence by making a break. They seem to have been very restricted, to say the least, in the second half.
Well, the feeling in the Halifax camp through the week was that they believed that maybe Castleford were taking them slightly lightly after the poor season that they'd endured last year, and the fact that Castleford finished last campaign on a real high. There seemed to be a punch going in there from Pearson, who's now complaining that there was a finger in his eye.
Right. OK, hang on.
In the tackle, 14 over there,
yeah,
to the first punch. OK, the penalty's to Castleford here.
Right, no further action other than that.
No, just get him
right.
bollocks.
OK.
Paul Hewitt
Martin.
is the touch judge.
Martin.
And he's going to call Pearson out.
Right, Greg, got to cut the emotion down, sort it out. There's no need for that. OK, all right. Sort it out with him. Get some control back with him. OK, Martin, I want you. I want you. Now listen to me. Hang on, settle down, I speak. OK, right. Don't get involved in it. Have a think about the scoreboard. You're getting yourself carried away. No, you don't tell me what to do. I do it. You just get on with the game. OK. Greg, that's it. No, he's not been down.
Well, that was the hand in Pearson's face, and that was the response. Gary Mercer having to come in and haul away his captain, Greg Florimore, before Halifax concede any further ground, but it is going to be an opportunity for Castleford to cut the deficit further through the boot of Jamie Benn. Who Halifax supporters may feel is fortunate still to be on the pitch. $254 points for York last season. 8 goals in the 4th round. A cluster of points in Castleford's pre-season fixtures. And in the side because of injuries to Flowers and Gay, but with a 1-year full-time contract in his pocket, looking to cement a place in Super League this season. It's fair to say he's got a chance.
Yes, very cool. Castleford needed the points. And Jamie Benn adding another 2 to that scoreboard tally. 6 points of difference now, but they still have to come back strongly. Here's the punch that Pearson threw, taking exception to Dean Sampson.
He made his point, but it cost his side 2.
Right, onside, lads.
The news from the dressing room is that Daryl Cardis is slowly regaining consciousness. They've taken the brace off. He took a blow under the chin, which closed his mouth rather more quickly than he would have liked. He's okay, but he'll have a very sore head.
Again, Halifax really very committed, but the referee didn't like that and has given the penalty to Castleford. The ball was pulled out, and Raper will kick towards the grandstand on the far side. Aaron Raper, the younger brother by 7 years of the coach Stewart. And there's a fair amount of feeling out there now. Raper. Now John Wells.
Wells did well to collect that one, dipping down near his knees.
Dale Fritz. This time it's Halifax's turn to be tested defensively. Raper to Logan Campbell, who's broken the tackle, and Campbell's in at the corner.
Well, one penalty, one mistake, a missed tackle, and Castleford right back in it. 2 points from Jamie Benn from the penalty. Then another turnover, and Logan Campbell sees his 4 in the corner.
Well, now Castleford supporters, who've endured a difficult afternoon, have something to sing and dance about.
Aaron Raper again choosing to go down the right-hand side, put the pass into Campbell. Sykes isn't needed. Wells isn't needed. Campbell scores in the corner. Aaron Raper picks up, again drawing Jimmy Bloom in. And Campbell goes through the gap between what it must be said is a poor attempted tackle. And scores in the corner, and Castleford right back in it. And Ben now with the chance to tie the scores up.
Logan Campbell, a New Zealander, who'll be a Scottish international at the World Cup with an Irish wife. There is a logic to it all somewhere. Now in practice, Jamie Benn was kicking 8 out of 10 of these. It's right on that far touchline. It's all down to Mr. Benn. This to tie the scores. It's got a chance. It's there. 10 apiece.
Great kick. So cool. From the touchline. 10 all the scores.
And talking of 10, now's probably a good time to explain that if the scores are level in 10 minutes, we'll have extra time of 10 minutes each way.
That's right. The teams will play a further 20 minutes to find the decider. And if yesterday's game is anything to go by, this could again go all the way to that last whistle.
And Martin Pearson out there may be wondering about the 3 first-half kicks that he missed. 10 points each, 10 minutes to play. Adrian Vowles. A reminder also that the quarter-final draw for this year's Silk Cup Challenge Cup will be live on Sunday Grandstand at 20-6 this evening. Aaron Raper still on top of the tackle count, as he was towards the end of the first half. And Stuart Raper has made his way down from the upper echelons of the stand towards the bench. And it's his brother Aaron finding Brad Davis, who chips over the top. Gibson installed at fullback, takes securely. And Halifax, having played so well, have it all to do in the face of this rejuvenated Castleford side. And in a sense, maybe the tackle by Ben on Cardis will prove to be something of a turning point. Oh, Mercer. There'll be no one more determined on the Halifax side than he. Rowley.
Well, the fans in the jungle now are cheering every tackle that Castleford make.
Kick was by Goldspink. It's not his speciality. Taken on the bounce by Darren Rogers. 3 costly missed tackles for Halifax in recent minutes. Dale Fritz. Halifax, who've gone out at this stage of the Challenge Cup in the last 3 seasons. They got to the quarter-finals 4 times in the 1990s, but haven't gone beyond since their last trip to Wembley 12 years ago. But at the moment they got all on to fend off a fairly rampant Castleford side. The kick is by Raper, and Marvin Golden is back, and then is helped into touch.
That's a wonderful kick by Aaron Raper, just turning the defence again, and then a good chase. Golden gets back, but then his momentum can't prevent him from going into touch, and it'll be Castleford's feet at the scrum. A great chance for Castleford to take the lead for the first time in this match.
Castleford aiming for their 3rd quarter-final in a row, and it would be their 5th in 8 years. Davis with the ball, now Andrew Purcell. Another like the last try scorer Logan Campbell, who joined from Hull in the close season. Aaron Raper, capped by Australia on one occasion at international level. Disagreement though, involving a couple of the players, as referee Steve Ganson awards a penalty to Halifax.
A moment of indecision by Aaron Raper. So sure most of the time, held onto the ball and therefore obstruction. And just at a time when the Castleford Tigers seem to be getting the momentum that would take them across the line for a score.
This is Jim Gannon. Now Goldspink, this enormous Australian, representing his 4th club in 4 seasons, and still finding Challenge Cup success elusive. Mercer, for whom the same can be said, not for the want of trying though. Mercer not taking kindly to the presence of Eager's boot. Now Florimo trying to straighten. Rowley up at dummy half, to his left is Duneman. Halifax gaining reasonable ground, but this is the last tackle.
Pearson for 1 point.
It is. He's tried, but it's high in the air, and it's Jamie Benn who's retrieved it for Castleford. Again, Pearson, in what may be, in such a tight game, a crucial moment. 3 missed kicks, and a fluffed attempt at a drop goal now.
Well, Brad Davis, the number 7 for Castleford, is known to have the odd 1 point in his armoury. He can drop the goal, so maybe if the Castleford forwards take it downfield, Dean Sampson and co, Aaron Raper try and find field position.
Ian Tonks. Only 5 minutes remaining now. Brad Davis to Fritz, towards Campbell, seemed to go backwards. Yes, it's play on. And regathered by Campbell. It's not a pretty sight.
Gail Tallick off to the blood bin. I can't see any doubt in that one.
As any player will be reluctant to leave the fray for however short a time. in the midst of a contest such as this.
10 to go, come on. 10 to go. Come on, 10 to go. We go. Get in.
Doonerman. Referee, as you will have heard, saying 10 minutes to go, which of course takes account of the fact that Daryl Cardis was down for a long time. Doonerman. Rolling. Gary Mercer. Tireless, ceaseless performance from him today. Now Rowley. Andy Hobson. Phil Hassan stationed on the right wing. Hobson in no position to get the pass out. Pearson. Doonerman. Looking to his left, and here's Moana. Had Bloom on his left shoulder. And it's the last tackle. This time it's Doonerman with the drop goal attempt. It's a low skidder. And the referee needs help from the touch judges just to see whether the ball carried. It certainly carried high enough, but they're going to have to go to the giant screen to decide the validity of the drop goal attempt.
I think you just look at the players, both Halifax and Castleford players, they're wandering back for a restart. They think it's 1 point. It was a low kick. It was struck well. And there's your answer. It's 1 point, and 1 point the difference. Halifax in the lead.
Yes, the post clearly obscured the ball, which suggests that it went right through the middle. And again. Doonerman looking anxiously. He must be well aware that the drop goal from his angle was good. He had the best angle of all.
He'll also be wondering what the clock says.
Well, the crowd are looking towards the giant screen for confirmation. Still no confirmation is forthcoming. And the fourth official has actually appeared from the touchline on the far side to signal that that ball did cross between the posts above the bar legitimately, and the drop goal does count. So it's 11-10 in Halifax's favour.
Well, Castleford were aware that the drop goal was on, the possibility of it. They've charged, trying to prevent Doonerman from kicking the 1 point. It wasn't successful, and the kick was 11-10. So again, Halifax in the lead, and Castleford needing to do everything in his closing minutes to come back and try and snatch this one.
Where's your money now? Safely in your pocket.
Safely in my pocket, and one with Halifax. But again, this league could just one missed tackle, one mistake, or one bit of brilliance, and the score could either be increased for Halifax or change completely and go in the favour of Castleford.
Just looking at that clock, that suggests just a minute to go. There'll be a good 5 minutes to be added onto that because of the injury to Daryl Cardis. Here's Moana. Halifax, who in many quarters were not given a good chance of winning today, in front with not very long to go at all, and that's Doonerman's kick. Rogers going back, Hassan up to face him, so to his Florimo, and between them they make sure Rogers doesn't gain much ground. Gail Tallick with a large swab of Vaseline on his forehead to stem the flow of blood. But remember, it's Castleford more than any other side in recent Challenge Cup history who've been involved in dramatic finishes to games. One recalls 2 seasons ago their 4th round tie at Headingley settled 11 seconds from time with a try by Andrew Schick, and then of course the classic semi-final at Headingley again against London last year. In other words, it's early yet.
Well, the coaching staff, I'm sure, trying to get the message on to remind them of all of those incidents, including yesterday's where Leeds pipped St Helens at the post.
Round about 5 minutes still to unfold. Dean Sampson, ball went backwards, but Doonerman's got it back for Halifax.
A little bit of panic play maybe from Brad Davis. Yes, you have to be adventurous, and yes, you have to try and break down the Halifax defence in these closing minutes, but did rather give the ball away too easily on that occasion.
Mercer. Such is the interest in this game around the world that these pictures are being watched live in Australia, in France, in Spain and in Singapore. And Andrew Duneman's relatives back in Australia will be pleased to see that he has been confirmed as the man of the match. Rowling. Jamie Bloom, 2 tries already. The chip through, finds touch.
I think too adventurous there by Jamie Bloom. Not going for the hat-trick instead, just running the clock down. Always looking to put that ball into touch. Halifax will take their time to pack down. Castleford desperate to get the ball back in their possession.
Well, it's a game that's never been anything other than very tight. At one stage, Halifax led by 10 points to 0, and now just by a solitary point. Haaland. Castleford need something in the next 3 minutes, otherwise they're out of the Challenge Cup. Certainly against expectations, if you look at the bookmakers' odds for this game. Raper through the hands of Purcell to Brad Davis, and now to Darren Shaw. Referee's arm upraised. It'll be the kick from Davis, which has gone many a mile up in the air. Duneman beneath it, and taking it very soundly, but not under a great deal of pressure.
Well, those critics you talked about, myself included, have gone, I think, on last season's form. Halifax, Blue Sox, a little bit of an unknown quantity in the building process that took place over the off-season. You've also got to figure into that equation home field advantage, but Halifax have come here to do a job and done it well.
And those 2 tries by Jamie Bloom may be enough to ensure Halifax a place in the quarter-final draw. Maybe enough. Duneman will kick towards the far side, beyond Wells, and securely again into touch, and the clock ticks on.
Sensible play, the man of the match. Andrew Duneman, weight was perfect. One bounce with a little skip into touch. And as you said, John, the clock ticks on. Halifax in no rush to get to the scrum again. Referee just stopping the clock.
But the ball from Halifax's perspective is at the right end of the field.
It looked from the pitch side that Aaron Raper, the brother of the coach Stuart Raper of the Tigers, refused to come off. He was signalled for a substitution by the looks of it, but it looks as though Aaron Raper is going to stay on.
Presumably you can only do that if you're the coach's brother. Raper managed to fling that pass out to Davis. Has to be a measure of desperation about Castleford's approach to this now.
Florey more solid in the centre for Halifax.
Here's Rogers. They just have to keep the ball alive. Jamie Benn. Was that high by Hobson? Referee thinks so.
Hang on. Bring the tackles right down. Okay.
Well, the word was bring the tackles right down. It was Hobson on Ben.
What are we doing, mate?
It's the referee just signalling for the clock to be halted, and that's a fact he's confirmed to the Castleford players who were inquiring as to whether he'd remembered to stop the clock.
Now is the breeze strong enough for Jamie Benn to try
into touch?
A kick for goal. He's going for touch.
Him, time back on.
Well, given the distance that Martin Pearson was getting in the first half, he wouldn't have been far away, would he?
I don't think so.
Well, time is about to prove whether that was the right decision. Davis.
Well, if nothing's going to come from the next 4 or 5 tackles, you would suggest that maybe they take the drop goal, maybe they take the 1 point. They are going down the middle of the field, maybe just to set up for that and go for extra time.
Raper at dummy half. They're just trying to gain as much ground as they can before setting themselves for the drop goal attempt. We've had 5 minutes added on now. This is Lee Haaland. They want to be more central, but here's fouls, and Darren Rogers. Halifax need to get hold of him, and they have. And he's just held onto the ball. Castleford fearing that the hooter will go any second now. There's Jamie Benn. Now Lee Haaland trying to straighten up. Again, he's brought to ground. It's now or never for Castleford. It's the last tackle. tackle. It's Raper's kick through. Phil Hassan was caught ball watching, but Rogers couldn't get there in the corner. And with that scuttling kick may well go Castleford's hopes of progress in the Challenge Cup.
Well, the coach, Stuart Raper, watches his brother put the little kick in. Again, Rogers can't get there in time. Holds his head in his hands at the end. He realises also that may be the last chance. And again, Halifax just taking their time with the restart, in no rush at all.
They will try and see out this set of 6, because there can be only a matter of seconds remaining. Gary Mercer will take his time in getting up and playing the ball. And then Florimo will accept the tackle. Duneman making 5 or 6 more metres before Eager makes the tackle, and there must be a sense of frustration for Castleford now because they can't get their hands on the ball. Moana, the last thing that any Halifax player will want to do is to relinquish possession now. And they've kept it alive with Pearson. Pearson in centre field.
Thought about throwing the pass and changed his mind very quickly.
It's the last tackle again. Duneman will wait and then will kick, and it came off Aaron Raper, and then Phil Hassan tries to gather it. And the ball is still in Halifax's possession, and because it hit a Castleford player, it's all on. They have another chance just to keep hold of the ball with Gary Mercer, the player coach, who has tried to mastermind this performance. He was greatly encouraged when he heard noises coming out of Weldon Road, the jungle, earlier in the week, saying that Castleford expected to progress. And the hooter sounds, and Halifax are the team who progressed into the quarter-finals of the Challenge Cup with a notable win.
Closer than most people thought, but you go to that first half performance. Yes, they did have the elements in their favour, the Halifax Blue Sox, but they put the points on the board that mattered.
Well, celebrations on the field of play from what's really a new bunch of Halifax players, assembled by the man in the centre of your picture there, Gary Mercer, who says he has one aim left in the Challenge Cup, and that is to finally get to a final and win it. And having gone through the financial problems, the loss of players, the fact that the job in a sense was sprung upon him when John Pendlebury left last June, the signs are that he's got together a group of players who believe in the talents of each other, who play for each other, and who will never believe when they're beaten. And this is a major scalp that they've taken, that of Castleford. Andrew Duneman, the man of the match, is with Richard Duckenfield.
Andrew, congratulations. It's some game to be involved in that.
Yeah, mate, we come here, we got flogged here last year, and we sort of wanted to turn around. We got a completely different side. We got a good side this year, so, you know, we grinded it out. We probably didn't use the first half advantage probably to our liking, but, you know, in the end we stuck in there and we luckily potted that field goal to get us the points.
Tell me about your feelings in the last 5 minutes. It was agonising to watch.
Oh, mate, especially when you don't know how long to go, because the clock's already gone past 40, so we didn't really know, but, you know, the boys stuck in there. They're gutsy blokes, and, you know, we got a good side, and hopefully we can keep it going.
It was a formidable effort from both sides, but at least the Blue Sox, they didn't flag at all with fatigue, did they?
No, mate, we're a pretty fit side. We Walsh gets us down and doing the hills pretty often, so we don't like them, but, you know, it's times like this when it comes through, and, you know, we're probably the fitter side on the day.
I know the Blue Sox fans are expecting big things of you. They're going to see them, I guess.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you know, we won today, but, you know, it's a long season. It's only one game, and we got next week, and, you know, hopefully Murrayfield is the big aim at the end.
Congratulations, Andrew. Well done. The victorious player coach Gary Mercer. Gary, I mean, that was some game.
It was a great game. Castleford put up a good fight, but I was very confident coming here. We haven't got a bad record at Cass, but all credit to my lads. All I can ask for was effort, and they put it in today.
It was a good first half for the Blue Sox, but Martin Pearson missed 6 points, blustery conditions.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, the weather wasn't on our side with the kicking, but you know, at the end of the day, we got the result, and I'm happy with that.
You must be happy with the spirit, the concentration, the application of the boys.
The boys are brilliant. I mean, they're very professional today. I mean, we've got some great halves in Duneman and Florimo out wide. You know, we just need more experience in the side, and I've got it, and we won today. But, you know, we're waiting for the draw now and just go forward from there.
Yeah, they make the draw a little bit later on. You can't choose one from that draw, can you?
Not really. It's going to be tough. You've got to beat the best to get there.
Congratulations. Well done, Gary.
All of which means that Halifax have visited the jungle and escaped unscathed. A surprise, but a merited victory for the Halifax Blue Sox, who will be in our quarter-final draw live here on Sunday Grandstand at 20-6. Victors here at, well, we'll call it Weldon Road one more time, by 11 points to 10.
Yeah, Yes, the 40-1 outsiders to win the Challenge Cup. Halifax go marching through. We'll rejoin John, as he said, about 20-6. Now, a more concentrated dose of indoor athletics now. It's the final day of the European Indoor Championships in Belgium, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, for potentially 2 more golds for Britain's athletes this afternoon. Into that draw at the expense this afternoon of Castleford.
Now rolling.
This is the area of the field I think Halifax Blue Sox will attack. They're in the middle of the field trying to pick out the fringe players. Danny Orr in particular, the small half-back for Castleford. Great pass.
It was Duneman to Florimer, and this is Jamie Bloom, who's in for the try.
Well, I just hinted him making around the middle of the field. They get the chance to go out wide. Great hands. I think the Castleford players and fans stunned. Maybe a few of them thought there might have been a forward pass in there.
Looking at it from that angle, it didn't seem to be a forward pass.
It didn't. Florimore collected above his head. There was nothing wrong with the pass from Florimore to Jamie Bloom, and then the step inside. A little stutter, gets across the line, and Gary Mercer, as coach and player, direct him to get as close to the post as possible.
Rolling. Duneman will hoist it towards the far corner. It's been taken by the wind. Bloom is up there. Bloom catches it, and Bloom plunges down for his second try.
A great crossfield kick by Duneman, perfectly weighted into that corner. Rogers couldn't get off the ground to collect it, and Bloom comes in to collect and score.
Dale Fritz. This time it's Halifax's turn to be tested defensively. Raper to Logan Campbell, who's broken the tackle, and Campbell's in at the corner. Pearson, Duneman, looking to his left, and here's Moana. Had Bloom on his left shoulder. And it's the last tackle. This time it's Duneman with the drop goal attempt. It's a low skidder.
It was a low kick. It was struck well. It's 1 point, and 1 point the difference. Halifax in the lead.
Well, it was very close, but the names of Halifax and indeed holders Leeds are both in there, and waiting to oversee the draw at Weldon Road for us is John Champion.
Yes, welcome back. We've had a couple of hours to digest the performance of the Halifax Blue Sox in beating Castleford Tigers today. We also knew already that Leeds, the current holders, would go through because of their victory yesterday over St Helens. These are the other results today. Confirmation of this afternoon's televised game at the top there. Dewsbury of the Northern Ford Premiership have gone through against the French representatives, Villeneuve Leopards, by 35 points to 10. Dewsbury in the quarter-final draw for the first time in more than 20 years. Hull have scored 82 points against Rochdale, 82 points to 10 at the Boulevard. London Broncos 21, Salford Reds 22, a last-minute try by Jason Webber, also a late try by Martin of Fire against one of his old clubs. At Bellevue, Wakefield Trinity 0, Bradford Bulls 46, a hat-trick for Australian Michael Withers. And a club record victory for Warrington Wolves by 84 points to 1 over York, a hat-trick there for Lee Breers. And last but not least, Wigan Warriors, the winners 8 times in a row in the late 80s and early 90s, have beaten Doncaster Dragons, again of the Northern Ford Premiership, by 38 points to 2. Now, alongside me is Greg Florimo, the Halifax Blue Sox captain, who must presumably be delighted with today's result against highly fancied opposition in Castleford.
Yeah, very delighted. The boys played very well today, played with a lot of spirit, a lot of commitment. You know, we controlled the game for most of the period, but when we did have our backs against the wall, we were able to take up the step and come away with the win.
It was tight, very tight. Too tight?
It was a little bit of a nail-biter at the end, but, you know, we didn't plan it that way, but, you know, we were happy to get that field goal at the end and come away with the win.
And briefly, what are you looking for in this draw?
Well, I think obviously a home draw would be nice, but it doesn't matter who we play. If we play with the same intensity as we did today, we'll be happy.
OK, well, Halifax Blue Sox are number 7 in this draw, which will be conducted by the Chief Executive of the Rugby Football League, Neil Tunnicliffe.
Thank you, John, and welcome to the draw for the quarter-finals of the 1999-2000 Silk Cut Challenge Cup. The home teams will be drawn by Neil Fox, MBE, the all-time Rugby League great who shares the record for the highest number of points in a Challenge Cup final, with 20 when Wakefield Trinity beat Hull by 38 points to 5 in 1960. And the away teams will be drawn by Colin Clark, the former Great Britain and Wigan hooker, who was involved in 2 epic Challenge Cup finals 20 years apart, as a 19-year-old against Hunslet in 1965, and again as coach of the winning Wigan side against Hull in 1985. And so, gentlemen, please, the draw.
$21.
Salford City Reds.
$26.
Against Warrington Wolves.
Number 7.
Halifax Blue Sox.
Number 2.
At home to Bradford Bulls.
Number 9.
Hull FC.
Number 30.
Against Wigan Warriors.
Number 14.
Leeds Rhinos.
Number 4.
At home to Dewsbury Rams. And that concludes the draw for the quarter-finals of the 1999-2000 Silk Cut Challenge Cup, and these ties will be played over the weekend of the 11th and the 12th of March.
Well, here in the Vice President's Lounge at the Jungle or Weldon Road, whichever you prefer, there were 1 or 2 intakes of breath. Let's look at the draw in more formal terms. Starting off with Salford City Reds against Warrington Wolves, who were last in the final in 1990. Halifax Blue Sox, we'll have words on this in a moment, are at home to the Bradford Bulls. Hull have been drawn against Wigan, and Leeds, the current holders, have Northern Ford Premiership opposition in the form of the Dewsbury Rams. These ties are a fortnight away, which means that Gary Mercer, the Halifax Blue Sox player coach, has 2 weeks to prepare his side to face the Bradford Bulls. What do you reckon?
It's a tough tie, but I think what's important is that we've got a home tie, so you know, we've got to be positive and just keep going forward.
What's today given you, Gary, in terms of belief?
Belief's a big word, and you know, I've said to the lads all week, you know, if you believe in yourselves, you go a long way, and they proved that today at Castleford, and you know, it's a big tie, it's a big game, but we're looking forward to it.
You fancy your chances?
Very much so.
Now, the beauty of having you here, Gary, is that we can look at virtually every tie, and one of your former clubs is involved. So, Warrington, for whom you played in the final in 1990, they've got Salford. What do you make of that one?
That's a good tie, that. I think, you know, if that's Warrington at home, I think they'll take that tie. But, you know, rugby league's a funny game, and you can go away like we did today and beat Cass at home, and, you know, it's part and parcel of the draw. If you get a good draw, you've got a good chance of winning.
Hull have scored 168 points, I think, in their 2 ties so far, but now it's rather different. They're playing Wigan.
Yes, I think Sean McRae would be a bit disappointed in that, you know, getting 2 easy draws, and then they got Wigan, and, you know, Wigan are a class side, and, you know, it's going to be very difficult for them. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, rugby league's a winner, and if you get a home draw, you've got a good advantage there.
And with great respect to the Northern Ford Premiership survivors, Dewsbury, in their first quarter-final for 20 years plus, they'll get some money at Leeds, but will they get a result?
That's a tough tie for them, and you know, I wish Dewsbury all the best. And you know, if they went to get to Wembley, they have to beat the best sides to get there.
Now, just finally, you've been to Wembley 3 times. That opportunity is not available to you. It's going to be Murrayfield if you get through this year, but you've lost 3 times in the final. So there must be a burning desire inside you for a Challenge Cup winners' medal, isn't there?
Very much so. I mean, I went there once with Warrington, twice with Leeds, and beaten all 3 times. So it's very disappointing results going to Wembley. But you know, if we stay positive and just keep plodding along, play the basics right, I think we'll go a long way.
We did very well today, and thank you for entertaining us.
Thank you.
Gary Mercer, the player coach of the Halifax Blue Sox. They're going to be playing the Bradford Bulls in a fortnight's time, and the top 2 of those ties will be televised live here on BBC television, one on Saturday grandstand and the other on Sunday. Those ties to be played on the 11th and 12th of March.